Welcome back. So I was contemplating again something on the sweeter side for the people who are eating a carnivore or a keto diet. And I wondered if I could recreate something that I really enjoy, which is a vanilla custard. This is a sugar-free vanilla custard, and it's all keto. It's got less than, per serving it has less than 5 grams of carbs. And so one of the things that you have to replace is the milk, because milk is carby. So I've done that with coconut milk, and I add 1 cup of coconut milk and 1 cup of heavy cream. Now heavy cream is not carby, but it is very caloric. So we have a lot of calories here, and when you're counting calories, if part of your object in eating in a keto or carnivore way is to lose weight, you're going to have to make sure you count these calories in your metrics. Whipping cream is 60 calories per tablespoon, and we just put a cup of that in there. And this is going to make 3 to 4 servings, depending on how big your servings are. I like a large serving, so for me it's just 2 servings. But we've got our liquid ingredients in the pan. We've got 1 cup each of coconut milk and whipping cream, heavy cream. We're going to add a tablespoon, which is quite a bit, of vanilla extract. And we're going to put that on a very low heat. I'm going to run that all the way down to low. And we're just going to let this come up to temperature slowly. And we're going to keep an eye on it because we don't want it to boil. But while that's going on, we're going to crack some eggs. Now we're not going to use the entire eggs, we're going to use the whites. So a time-tested true way of separating whites and yolks is just to use the shell as the vessel to do that with. So you use half the shell as a receiver as you flop the yolk back and forth between the two, with the object of getting that egg white out of there. And we want 5 yolks. And we're keeping, out of the corner of our eye, we're keeping a watch on our liquid ingredients that are in the pot. We do not want those to take off on us. They look pretty good, and we're just going to let them come up slow. Now, if you really wanted to have a more traditional custard, you could get a vanilla bean pod, and you could cut that, scrape the vanilla bean out, the seeds out, and put them in your custard base, and then toss the pods in as well, just through the cooking process, just to get that flavor out of them. But in our recipe today, I'm just using vanilla extract. I'll get the rest of these back in the fridge. And now we're not done with our eggs. We need to do more. So we're going to mix our eggs with, I'm going to use some allulose, and allulose is our favorite sugar substitute. Not only, I'm going to use 4 tablespoons. Not only is allulose a good sugar alternative, it actually may have some positive health benefits, unlike some other sweeteners. And so it's a very good choice for an alternative sugar. In fact, it's my sugar of choice. And then I'm going to put just a partial, maybe just under a tablespoon of monk fruit. Monk fruit gives you that little closer to a sugary taste with the sugar alcohol. Sugar alcohols are supposed to be non-carbs. So they don't, since they don't spike your blood sugar like sugar, they're not really counted as carbs. And the last thing we're going to add to our egg mixture, which does have carbs, and so we have to be cognizant of that, is in fact, this is the first carby thing we've put in here is cornstarch. I've got, apparently there is a substitute for that, and I've got that coming in the mail, and we're going to try that substitute for cornstarch when I get it. We're going to try that I'll do another episode of a base like this, but instead of just making a custard, we'll actually make a creme brulee. Probably something you didn't think you'd be able to eat on a carnivore or keto diet. We're going to whisk together our egg and sugar substitute and cornstarch base, and that's pretty good. And we're going to leave it in our big bowl. And the reason that I have this in a larger bowl than you might think we need is because we're going to slowly pour our hot liquid ingredients, our warm liquid ingredients, I should say, into our egg mixture. And we're going to keep that moving so that we don't let that seize up. And we're going to do it very slowly, and I'll show you that technique. Okay, so our base is really warm, but it hasn't boiled. And the reason that that's important is because we don't want to cook our egg part of our custard. It's very important. We don't want scrambled eggs. So we'll let that sit just a second. Now, you might not like the fact that the egg whites are separated, and what can you do with the egg whites? My gosh, we're going to throw them away. Well, you don't have to throw them away. You can turn them into a keto meringue. So we can do that with a hand mixer or a stand mixer and some sugar substitute. If I were going to do that, I may use Swerve, or I may use monk fruit rather than the allulose, but it has been successfully done with allulose as well. So if you're worried about throwing away your egg whites, you can always use them for that.
Or you can use them as an omelet.
Or you can
an
make
egg
them
white
into
omelet.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so I'm going to whisk pretty vigorously and stir in just a little bit. You can see I'm just drizzling this in. And what we're doing is kind of tempering the egg. We don't want it to cook. We're bringing it up to temperature slowly. And we want to make sure that we keep this moving. We're going to keep it moving. And we're just going to slowly put this hot liquid into our egg. And if we do it little by little and we don't get too crazy and we don't get too much of this hot liquid in there at once, we'll make a nice custard instead of a nice scrambled egg. So we'll just keep whisking. We're never going to stop till all this is in there. And we're moving it, moving it, moving it. And we could probably pour the rest in there at this point, but I'm going to keep moving it. I like a nice silky custard. We're going to keep moving it. Okay, so we took our tempered custard mix and we put it back on the stove. It cooled down. If it cools down too much, it won't set up. So we put it back on the stove top to warm it back up and put it back in the pot, and you can see how that's thickening up. So it's just like a pudding or gravy even thickens up like this with cornstarch and heat. That's thickening up very nice. So you can see that as how thick that is, and it sticks to our whisk really nice. There's no lumps in it. It's still It's still a nice smooth custard base, and we're just going to keep that moving. We just want to keep that moving so we don't get any clumps forming. But yep, that stayed nice, and we'll take our spatula and clean out our pan. Okay. Now this might be a little hot, but you can try that if you want.
Sure. Very good.
So when it like coats the back of a spoon, that's a little much. Like usually when it coats the back of a spoon, it runs off. But this is a little bit thicker. I tend to like it thicker. Very good. And this makes a good, almost like a pudding. And you can use a very similar mix for a creme brulee, and we might make an addendum to this video to show you how to do that. So one serving, this is about one serving. It's going to be about 3 total carbs. It goes really nice with a couple of berries or some cut up strawberries. And cut up strawberries are going to be your lowest amount of carbs. Blackberries will be your next lowest amount of carbs. So enjoy this recipe. Enjoy it in the right proportions, and you can still have a sweet, sugar-free, low-carb dessert.